This is 7 News with Susannah, Carr in Perth and Rick Ardon reporting on the grand final live from Melbourne.
Good evening from inside the MCG, where tomorrow night we'll know who'll be raising this Premiership Cup above their heads, claiming the 2018 AFL flag. Bounce down is in just 18 and a half hours' time. This may not be the Eagles' home ground, but they had a decent run inside today. The focus of these chopper pictures at the final training session, of course, was Jeremy McGovern. The defender certainly raised a few questions in the traditional grand final parade. His seat empty before a late arrival during what was a dad's army of Eagles, a family affair before the players went into lockdown.
A sea of blue, gold, black and white. More than 100,000 footy fans line the streets of Melbourne on a typical Melbourne day. Among them, around 20,000 West Aussies singing the same tune. Some came by plane, some drove for 3 days straight. A few had an extra reason to be excited.
This is Willie Senior, Willie Rioli's dad. Mate, you must be so proud.
I am, mate. I'm really looking forward to the game as well.
Mate, he seems to have got your smile.
No, thanks, mate. Thanks, yeah. No, that's okay. Thank you.
No doubt wouldn't be, where I am today if it wasn't for mum and dad. And, I remember as soon as I got to high school, he's like, pack your bags, you're going to boarding school. So all those little things that stack up back then, and I didn't think it was working for me. It's all planned out, and I'll be forever in debt because of my dad and mum.
Chris Marston's granddad also along for the ride.
Who's the best West Coast Eagles player, do you think?
Well, I think you'll probably have to get one of the older ones, like Razzo said it.
Hold on a minute. What about Chris Marston? He's your grandson.
Yeah, he's second best.
Now, all the West Coast Eagles players are here except one. This chair's supposed to be Jeremy McGovern, but we're told he slept in and he's in a cab rushing here as we speak. But it appears he may miss the parade. Hey, actually, hold on a minute. Gov, what happened, mate?
No, nothing. I was a touch late. No, I don't think he slept in. I think he would have been doing a bit of testing and pushing and prodding, so we think he's going to be fine, but we just want to make sure we get it right.
How's that hip, mate? How's it looking for the big dance?
Sweet. No issues. Should be fine. I'll train the servo and all be good.
Luke, you've had a big couple of weeks. Baby boy, potential injury. Now you're fine, and now you're going to play in a grand final.
Yeah, it's been a big couple of weeks. I've said since Sunday the ankle's fine. So the ankle's good, and had a FaceTime session with a young fella last night, and all he did was cry. So I think he's missing his dad a bit, but all good.
The AFL Grand Final Parade has been running since 1977. More than 100,000 people usually turn out. It's so big that in Melbourne, it's a public holiday.
There are two teams in the Grand Final. The Pies are quietly confident.
And how are you tipping it to go?
No, we'll win. We'll win. Play that.
And tickets have been hard to come by. This young Pies fan won 2 for dunking Giants star Dylan Shield, and he celebrated accordingly. Eagles forward Liam Ryan was charged with drink driving this week, but he will play tomorrow.
Not going to be a distraction at all on the big dance?
No, it won't be. No, not at all.
Good to hear. Ryan Daniels joins us now live. And Ryan, as we've heard, we got a special peek at West Coast's final training session at the MCG today, and Jeremy McGovern was looking all right.
He did look good, Rick. The West Coast Eagles, as you said, had a closed training session at the MCG this afternoon after the parade. One last chance to have a run before tomorrow's grand final. Now, Jeremy McGovern was put through a series of tests. Our cameras managed to sneak a few shots from the 7 News chopper, and he did appear to be moving well. Now, rumours at the start of the week suggested that McGovern had broken ribs, but both the defender and coach Adam Simpson denied that for fact, and he will in fact play in tomorrow's AFL Grand Final. Now, Rick, I suppose the question is, if he does play and he's not 100%, will he be able to stop Collingwood's American Pie, Mason Cox? Back to you.
Thanks, Ryan. The unmistakable presence of giant Collingwood forward Mason Cox, as you've mentioned, will give tomorrow's AFL Grand Final an international flavour. The big Texan has been quick to embrace Australia's native football code, and it seems his family have taken quite a liking to some Aussie tastes after flying in from the US to support him.
How do a couple of Americans get over jet lag? A pie and a pint.
It feels very Australian, yeah. It feels right. You know, I just got off the plane about an hour ago.
It feels right because they're in Melbourne to see their brother play in the biggest Aussie rules game of the year. Mason Cox is one of the